Good morning. How's everyone doing? There, edit. Got that music going. All right, guys. I just woke up. Maybe no more than 23 minutes ago. Let's do this. Let's have a good time. Getting that coffee in, though. I got a couple things in the mail that I want to go through, and then we can look at the trees. First off, my glasses. So my glasses have kind of broken. This happens, as it does, but for the last month or so, it feels like a month, I have not been able to use my glasses to work until now. I ordered some new ones. I feel really happy about it. Second. Okay, now we have privacy, guys. Okay. Next thing that came in the mail. Ready? Wizard spell cards. That's right. The set has arrived. It's time to take a look at it. Let's see what it looks like when we open. I bet you my camera's not set and the screen's about to go to black. Oh shoot, it worked. Great. So this cover, this case, was really just something slapped together last minute, but it looks really nice. Can I open it? Better question. Feels nice. I picked the eco-friendly paper because I like the texture of it, at least on camera. In my hand, it's very, very comfortable. Definitely wouldn't last as long as a normal card case, the eco-friendly paper. Julian. similar one for lighting? Ooh, I could. I absolutely could. And thank you very much for liking the video. I have to put some thought into a couple of the things that I think are, one, important, two, things that I've done that I think have helped both immerse my players and me. Some things that are a little hard to do when you DM because you have more things to do. And maybe talk about some things that you can do that are both hard, like hard as in like setting up around your home versus having something that you can bring to your friend's house. I think that's something worth talking about. All right. So on the back of these cards, put a little bit of a vignette on these. No, we want to get nice and close. We want to see these cards. I just gotta be good with my camera work. There we go. All right. So we have a little bit of a vignette on the text on the back of the card. I think it's nice. Oh, that came out nice. I like the texture. These are nice. It's good size. I was worried that this text would be too small. I feel like it's just right. Picked up this card during a game. Obviously I've seen the design, like I made it, but having it in my hand, like something nice about, okay, the corner says spell. That works for my brain really well. Reference page, tier, duration, range. I know it's a wizard. I know it's a wizard. I know it's a wizard. No mistakes. I think the wish spell could have used more of this space. That's okay. No, this is a great prototype. Having a player who plays a wizard having these cards, they can quickly see what spells they want, and they know what tier it is, then they look at everything else. Like, the three most important things to know: is it a spell that you're holding, what the spell is, what the tier is. Yeah, I think these came out great. All right. Now the question is, should we put more art on it? I think that's the big question. Do we like the wizard hat? Should it be something more? No, you know what? The wizard hat's great. Then should there be an art piece on the back? Versus it saying wizard spells. Should there be more to the decorativeness to it? Or is it too plain? Or is it being simple a good thing? People's D20 is a little too faded at the top. I know it's not the most important thing about the card, but it'd be nice if that's visible. Is it different per card? No, it's pretty much the same. Let's jump halfway through the deck. Cool. Yeah, this would be great. Oh, that's right. There's a... I think there's a homebrew spell in here. I'm looking at the bottom of the deck here where we have the reference page for where the spell can be found in the core book. That's where I would indicate whether or not it's a homebrew. There it is. Homebrew Aida. Summon Ancient. It's to replace the Summon Explainer, Extraplanar. You reach into Aida's ancient history, summoning forth a creature. Versus you reach into Outer Planes, summoning forth a creature. Because there's no Outer Planes in Aida's setting. Then you summon an elemental or outsider, level 7. You summon an elemental, fae, or demon. This creature's under your control is act. Yeah, the spell is near identical. Just a change of limitation and aesthetic because it would fit the setting better. This is great. I love this. Definitely a prototype because I want to fix up the top. Let's make notes on what needs to be changed. Ooh, blow my nose. Incredible. The Fields of Refuge campaign is on the channel. I think it's just unlisted at the moment. I went back and forth trying to figure out what to do with it, mostly because while we were releasing the new series, what we noticed on the back end of the channel that it wasn't performing well when the original series was public, and it was kind of going we were getting like mixed numbers, so I made it unlisted and moved it to Patreon temporarily to let the channel and the algorithm focus on the new series, which helped it a lot. So now that the new series is slowed down, I think it's important to move Refuge more back to public. Yeah, it's just some stupid like YouTube experimenting stuff, but a lot of you guys love Refuge and I want to get it back up. Okay, so we got Wizard, spell cards, notes. Fields of Refuge introduced you to D&D on YouTube? Hell yeah. With Fables of Refuge, we have Fables of Aeda as well, which I'm currently still editing. Like, we have the first campaign for Aeda, which is my setting versus Jarrett's setting. That is up, and we just won like 4 awards for it, which was wild. When we were making Refuge, we didn't know we could submit 4 awards. So, shocked that we won some awards. Corners. I don't think it needs decorative corners. Maybe. Might be too much. Let's make sure that's written as dark. I played in real life, but only started watching D&D on YouTube when I watched Fables of Refuge. Aw. Thank you. That was a really hard project to make. Especially at the time when I like had no gear and no I didn't even have a laptop at the time. I had a busted up computer. It was really hard. Now I've seen all D&D content. Hell yeah. Once you get in, you can't get out. Maybe come up with a couple extra homebrew spells. Let's do 3 more homebrew. All right. You guys look at that for a second. I'll be right back. Also, if you have any ideas on how I can also improve this, let me know. So, notes for these cards. Yeah, just need to come up with 3 more homebrew spells, and the set would be fine. It's at my top 5 favorite of all time. Fables is number 1. What? Critical Role 2. Table Stories, Mistlight 3. Oh, that sounds sick. I haven't heard of them yet. Now I gotta look them up, because that sounds really cool. Bit. There we go. Wait, have I seen these? Oh wow, they go all out with their animation. That's cool. What's the best beginner DM stuff to dwell into? Our group lost our seasoned DM. Also incoming new players. I've watched Fable Season 1. Wow. Oh, man, they've been killing it. Good for them. Table story. You lost your seasoned DM. You got some new players coming. What's the best beginner DM stuff to dwell into? I'm assuming you're playing 5e. Best and easy DM stuff to dive into. I'm going to say, I'm trying to pick just the right stuff. Okay. I think some of the best things that you could do. 1, have a session 0. First and most important thing is have a session 0 where the DM kind of leads the session and the conversation. What that would be, the goal there is to make sure everyone's characters align with the adventure, or the the adventure aligns with the characters. Kind of meet in the middle where it's necessary. Settle down, camera. And that way everyone, both the new players and the veteran players, can kind of make sure that all the characters feel like they belong in the same party. That's a big thing that you need to make sure that happens. Be upfront. For the sake of the conversation, I'm going to assume that you're going to be the DM. Okay. What you would need to make sure you do is communicate that, like, hey, this might be my first time DMing, so I might make mistakes. I might not know the rules exactly or stuff like that. Let's play a little bit more of like what I consistently set the ruling as, and we can look up the rule later. Like, set the expectations, right? So that way you don't feel like there's pressure to live up to the previous DM. Also say that, like, I don't want that pressure. I might DM differently. I might rule a rule differently than he or she would have. They were a different person with different tastes, and that just might change. Incredible, thank you. I love Fables of Refuge. Hell yeah. Then I would, as a DM, I would look at the Lazy DM from Sly Flourish. Here we go. You could do the workbook. I think this is the better one to have. Yeah. I would get Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. You could get the Lazy DM's workbook, but I don't think you need this as much as you need this. This will help a lot. Lazy Dungeon Master. It's really about cutting the fat and being a better Dungeon Master's guide. Let's just breeze through it, and this can help you. And then, if you want to get it, it's on Amazon. So, what's the first chapter? Is this something that I think is prepare what benefits your game? Chapter 1 is just a way of thinking of a lazy DM, one that can just think of the core aspects of what you need to prepare. Being a lazy DM doesn't mean you don't prepare, it just means you prepare just enough to feel comfortable to improvise the rest of the way. If you know anything about literature or literature culture, the two types of writers out there are considered pantsers and planners. Planners are people who plan their adventure ahead of time, like scenes, and figure out where the chapters go and stuff like that. Pantsers are people who sit down and write off the seat of their pants. My philosophy is you want to be a planner, but the moment you sit down to play, you're a pantser. The checklist. Starting out as a DM, the checklist has helped me a lot. So we have, first thing you do, review the characters. This is why you have to have that session 0, especially for the new players. Everyone is kind of a part of that character creation and what that new party is going to feel like and look like. And you get to just take note of what happens. Who's who, what are their classes, what level are they, what are their character goals. Take note, if possible, what the player goals are. Like, what does the player want out of playing the game? Yeah, pretty much that. Just review the characters, and then on your spare time, look over the class in the core book. What are their spells? What are their abilities at their current level? Just, you don't have to memorize it. Be familiar with it, because they're going to say it at the table, and when the player says, oh, I use this special ability because I'm a level 4 barbarian, you go, great. Can you tell me what that is again? Just simply do that. Don't need to memorize it. If you want, in case you want to still build up trust and you don't fully trust your players, have your laptop open or something and look up while they describe it. When you ask them, hey, go ahead, tell me what that does again, you at the same time go look it up, and then you can kind of match what they're saying to what you're reading, and eventually you can build trust that, oh yeah, they got it. They're not going to just make up a thing. Second part of the checklist, strong start. You want to start the game strong. Probably the first 5 minutes of the game, you're going to kind of set the tone and set the setting. Totally fine, but don't let it start on you meet in a tavern. You can meet in a tavern. You totally can. But by that, I mean, you don't want it to be like, okay, everyone's in a big room, there's a cozy fire, and what do? There's like no action. There's no player prompt. I think the word prompt has become very popular because of AI. Prompt is the key word here. What do you prompt your players to do? You need to set up a sense of conflict in the room for your players to engage with. Conflict being as simple as townsfolk need help rebuilding the wall because an earthquake hit, or it got attacked, or who knows, maybe they have to go ask an NPC about why the wall fell a little bit. There's rats in the basement eating all the food. The festival is happening. We need help cleaning up the town. It could be simple, small stuff like that, that especially allows the newer players to kind of have a small task to do, while the older players kind of probably have something chill to do, right? Nothing overpowering. Sneaky good afternoon, aka good morning. But the strong start meaning you want action. You want a conflict that needs to be solved, and you start the game with that. Not all games can start with that, but when possible, try to. Introduce the conflict as soon as possible. Think about a movie, right? In a movie, we're more likely to sit around longer to watch it if it opens up with some interesting type of conflict to engage us as an audience. How do we go about getting our D&D story worlds noticed? I've wrote a lot of worlds into existence, and I'm so scared to show them to people. Where does your confidence come from? Once I finish this checklist, we will talk about that, because that's a real thing. After you figure out what your strong start's going to be, write a little bit of the conflict down. If it makes you feel more comfortable, write down some an opening statement of like a narration, how you're gonna open up, like the curtains open on a stage, right? What's the narrator gonna say to set up the space? If you can, you don't have to say it one-to-one. You can read it if you want. I recommend reading it beforehand, saying it out loud, so the muscles of your voice get familiar with those words and the way you want to say it. And then you can change it if you want. But when you sit down at the table, that confidence of starting the game with that opening statement for that strong start will excite your players, will engage them, especially if you inject conflict. Even ones as simple as the mayor walks up and asks for your help. Hey, we're looking for people to help with the festival coming up. It seems like the town's a little too dirty. Everyone's too busy doing their thing to get ready for the festival. Do you think you could help? That's going to be great. Outline potential scenes. That's the next thing. My go-to number of scenes to write down is how many players do I have? Great. Let's say I have 5 players. I'm going to write down 5 potential scenes. The potential scenes are things that you think are going to happen based on knowing your characters, knowing the conflicts that you are trying to set up, and the potential NPCs involved. Great, that's it. Don't have to get any more detailed than that. Define secrets and clues. Secrets and clues is a list of 10 things. 10 things that your players can learn. Whether it's from investigation, perception, being in the right place at the right time, arcana check, history check, whatever. It's lore. They're clues to the conflict and solution or bigger plot that's happening. It can be, you know, with the festival example, it could be a couple clues that are connected to the wall that fell. Maybe goblins are nearby and they attack the wall, and some people are worried that the goblins are gonna ruin the festival. Maybe some of them for the festival is some people aren't actually busy, they just don't want the festival to happen. Why is that? And then you start opening up mysteries and clues. And at a certain, you only need 10, because if you go more than 10, you're never going to get there, but you'll never need all 10. So write 10 of them, and that'll help fill in for the session. And that'll set you up to improvise things as you go. Next up, develop fantastical locations. Write down the name of the town, the name of the inn, name of the shop, name of... You don't really need the region or the world. That's pretty much it. Maybe the baker's shop, the forest just on the edge of town, the next town over that they do most of the trading with, Vex Media. So that's kind of all you need. And give them like a great name. Stonehill Inn, right? Something that when they hear it, the players hear it, they're like, ooh, okay, that's the name of that place. I would recommend simpler the better, unless you have a specific fantastical reason. Another great one is if you were to like go to the Raven Queen's castle in the Shadow Realm. No, big leap in context. You go to her castle, her fortress, I believe, is called the Fortress of Memories, because she traps memories there. Fortress of Memories is a great fantastical location name. Next up on the checklist, outline important NPCs. We already know that the mayor is going to be important because of the festival. Because of the wall fell down, do a important construction worker. Maybe the head of the construction, right? The architect. Miss you, buddy. Oh, Vex. Vex, you need to come up to Zach, and then we can hang out and we can play D&D. It's a 45-minute flight, buddy. Heck, we could do it online and it'll be cheaper. But then you can't touch all my toys. I got so many D&D toys. So we got outline important NPCs. We got the mayor, the architect for the construction that's working on the wall, a shopkeeper, the innkeeper, and then because I mentioned like maybe some people don't want to work on the festival, figure out who that NPC is, right? If you plan that NPC to be the blacksmith, right? The blacksmith doesn't want to help because he thinks the festival's going to encourage the goblins to attack more. You know, there's a secret and clue. If the players actually go to the farmer, because they, for whatever reason, they misinterpret your clues, they go to the farmer rather than the blacksmith. Make your blacksmith the farmer so that the farmer will have all that information. Rather than going, hey guys, we're wrong, we're losing now on a time management scale. Now you're losing time because they went in the wrong direction, and now you have to develop a whole new NPC, reskin your blacksmith that you had planned to be the person to give them the information of why they don't want to help the festival. Be that farmer, and you've now saved a bunch of time. Choose relevant monsters. We already know the goblins are in there. They're probably bandits. Maybe they're not bandits. Who knows? Figure it out. You have a monster manual. We got them. I would probably We mentioned rats, so we got some rats that they could fight, maybe giant rats depending on their level. Ooh, what else? What's another just like easy monster toss in? Wolves wouldn't attack a town. That's silly. But if you were to do bandits for goblins, goblins could attack. But if the players defeat the goblins that would come back would be riding wargs, which are just dire wolves. So you could have some dire wolves ready to go too. Heck yeah. Honestly, that's enough monsters. Straight up. Is there another monster? Just one more, top of my head. Looking at my minis for inspiration. Yeah, maybe there's a mimic somewhere. You can have a mimic chest, a mimic door, a mimic bear rug on the floor, a mimic table. Maybe there's a place in town that's a little dodgy, and maybe find a clue that can lead players to this dodgy place in town, and fill it with mimics. Mimics have just been chilling in here for so long. That'd be fun. And then put like some good treasure and clues and stuff to tell you where to go to find the goblins. That'd be great. And then finally, a significant magical item or rewards. There you go, the map to the goblins. Some loot. Maybe a couple +1 weapons, like a couple +1 daggers or +1 sword. Something like that. Something simple. So yeah, I would have that checklist of 10. And this goes in definition and breaks it down a little bit differently than I said it, but that's how I remember the list. And it has a chapter for each one, which is great. So yeah, I think this book would help a lot. If you need a map, there's so many maps out there that you can use for free, especially if it's a game that's not being recorded or a published thing. Just use a map that you find online for free, no problem at all. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. Session 0, Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, the 10 checklist, and just have a good 4-hour session and you'll be fine. I think that'll be fine. All right, how do we go about getting our D&D story worlds noticed? I wrote a lot of worlds into existence, and I'm so scared to show them to people. Where does your confidence come from? My confidence comes from a mix of evidence, and I'll explain what that is in a second. Evidence and trust. So the evidence is I have put things out there. And yeah, I've heard bad things. Cool. I've also heard a lot of good things. And the good things I hang on to as like, hey, someone does like my idea. That means my idea is worth pursuing. I don't need someone's external validation at all. But if I'm putting something out there in the world, I'm externalizing my thing, and therefore external validation has value. Or my friends have said, hey, this is a great idea. Or just people who I'm just starting to play with say, your idea is great. Like that helps the evidence that my idea is good beyond my own opinion. And I hang on to that. The trust part is the fact that ideas in today's world have less value than people putting the work into making their ideas come to a reality. You can have an idea every hour at the top of the hour all day long. Well, that means that the other ideas that you had previously are not as valuable as the next one. You can have 10 ideas every day, right? Okay, everyone does. Everyone has an idea every day. So what makes your idea different, what makes your idea special, is that you put work into realizing it, bringing it to life, by drawing maps, writing stories in that world, by playing games in that world to help like bring it to life in a sense of living there. That was a big thing with Fables of Aeda for me, is I set up a little bit of work. No idea what my idea is. Do you have any ideas? God damn it, Brian. Fables of Aeda, I had set up just enough of the world building to play and run Amity Island. And my friends really enjoyed that world and some of the unique, rare things I put in there. Then I sat down with my friend and we recorded. I still need to release it all. Is a lore podcast where he would ask me about the lore of the world, which forced me to sit down and think about it, and then we would have a conversation. And that is talking to people about your world is a little bit of that, bringing it to life, because you're getting it out of your head. And there are going to be things that they disagree with or don't understand, and that's okay. You go back into the kitchen and you cook some more. And it takes time. It just takes time to lock in the things that you want to exist in the world. And that's why I play the games, especially Fables of Aeda, the way I do. And it's the same reason why... Actually, I think Jarrett is more, for Fables of Refuge, is more of a planner than a pantser. He likes to plan out the best he can for the world building, and then he'll figure things out as he goes, for sure. I like to... Oh, we're kind of similar that way a little bit. Now that I put some thought into that, yeah. The confidence of putting it out there, you know, if Refuge, no one liked Refuge, no one liked Refuge. If no one liked Aeda, no one liked Aeda. Sucks. But hey, I gotta wake up tomorrow, get stuff done. If I really like the world, I put more work into the world. I get art made, I get music made. You know, like right now I'm working with a composer to make the motifs for Fables of Aeda. And the motifs are a different motif for each era. And each era is a significant culture in the world. I'm working with an artist to bring places to life so I can put it on YouTube with the music. And so you guys can hear and see what the world feels like. I do believe part of the confidence does come from just the trust that confidence will come. if you keep going. If you trust that the thing you make is good based off the evidence that you have, keep going and confidently keep moving forward. That's kind of where my confidence comes from. There is so I would say, hey James, I would say 80% of fantasy worlds in the whole world, on Earth, 80% are never made because people are too afraid to just put ink to paper. Out of the 20% that are made, 90% of them are bad, or just never seen, or just underdeveloped because someone just did it to bring it to life. They passed the 80% just by bringing their idea to life, and that was just good enough for them, right? And that means it wasn't professionally edited. It means it wasn't professionally grammared, didn't like do a cleanup pass. They just brought it to life. But you pass the 80% mark by doing that. Once you want to refine it and like put the effort to improve your literary skills, your cartography skills, or collaborate with somebody on Etsy or something that have the skills that you don't to add value to it and make it bigger. Yeah, it costs money. But if you have a job and your bills are taken care of and you have an okay savings and you have some spare cash, collaborate with an artist that can help bring your idea to life. And then think about, for me at my age, 30 years from now, right? What do I want to look back at what did I create? Can I, in 30 years, enjoy the thing I made? Both in my head and with the papers, the music, the art. Can I go watch my games again? Like, that's important. That confidence is for me in 30 years. You don't need to be Brandon Sanderson. You don't need to be Tolkien. You don't need to be pick a writer. You don't have to be them. Make a thing for you to enjoy. If you want to go the extra mile, go the extra mile. Also, I want to say about most of the 20% don't even get to finish it. They started it. They didn't finish it. Make sure you finish it. Feel proud about it. That will build evidence. That will build trust in what you're trying to do. It takes a leap of faith in yourself and effort. Let's see. There's that dice rolling catharsism. Yeah, Vex. Cooked my world for almost a year before playing it with my friends. When we play, they help introduce new lore to the world. That's great. That happens all the time on Fables. Most RPG worlds start as an adventuring town with no outside lore at the beginning. My friend builds his world as the game goes on. Yeah. Literally, I would be in the same situation for Fables of Aeoda. If it wasn't for the lore podcast. The lore podcast with Chris, a big part of that was it was forcing me to have answers and define these things, at least like broad stroke wise, that I hadn't had thought of earlier, or I was just loosely thinking about earlier. And once I say it out loud to some degree, and it's in the edit and it's uploaded, I try to be as canonic to that as possible. Hey guys, if you're liking this conversation, hit the like button. Thanks. This video is not monetized. Hey Sam. So yeah, guys, the spell cards showed up. A little topic switch super quick. Spell cards showed up. It's a prototype. Digging it. I got my notes here on what I want to improve. Ooh, Wall of Force is also got to get cleaned up there. So just really structurally. Reformat text. Force. But yeah, these cards turned out great, especially for Shadowdark. All right. Let me grab the trees. I'm down to answer more questions and talk about this stuff, 100%. But I also want to grab the trees and show you what they look like, because I also have a special thing to show you guys haven't seen yet. Okay. Oh, that nice breeze. Brian. So this is the first tree that I made. Nice good summer tree. Tall apex. Allows your hand to go underneath so you can put a mini on there or whatever. And we have the roots that grow up and around, which is really nice. All right. Once I got the right glue, the right adhesive, the other trees started coming out great. So now I have 4 of them. This one, I glued some of the moss to the side of it as well. Got a little extra glue up here. That's okay. That's fine. I really like adding that summer spice to the top, giving it that nice bright color. Feels nice. And we got it open. You can see the main tree. I do notice the way I'm doing it, you can kind of see the pattern of the branches a bit, and it's a little, like, you can kind of see the spiralness of the trees, the pre-made trees that I use from Scenic. But let's see if this works. Oh heck yeah, I was hoping for that on this tree. Put some people in the tree. That's nice. Can we do it on this one? A little bit, maybe? That's good enough. Sean, I have a question. Why do I prune videos? If I prune videos, it's usually due to algorithm reasons that I see on the back end. So if, well, there's a few reasons. if a video that I upload is I notice like too big of an error in it, both creatively or like there was a technical error, obviously, hey, let's just take it down. Or if it is like Fables of Refuge, when we made that unlisted and moved that to Patreon, so that way we could let YouTube recommend the new show a bit more. An aspect of that was we were noticing that Fables of Refuge greatly was getting recommended a lot, but we noticed that the viewership on Fables of Refuge on episode 1 was only the first 5 minutes at most, and those people didn't convert into watching the rest of the channel or anything that we else had. And a lot of that has to do with the first 5 minutes of Fables of Refuge is the first 5 minutes that we've ever put on the channel. And the reason why YouTube is recommending it is because it has the most amount of views, not because it is something that sets the tone for the channel or what we creatively want to be sharing constantly. We don't get to control that reason why it's sharing. So unlist it, move it over to Patreon, and have the channel try to recommend the latest thing possible, so that way when people come, even if they stay for the first 5 minutes, just like they did on Fables of Refuge, the first 5 minutes still establishes what we're currently creatively trying to express. And we saw more people were jumping over to other videos to check it out. Now that Fables of Aida Curse of Amity Island is done, both can exist in the same place. That's probably my biggest reason for pruning videos, is noticing that, one, YouTube is not a free market of ideas. It capitalizes on very specific viewer behavior activities per video, and will let everything else drown. Like, if you watch a video from a channel, the only reason you would watch more of that channel is that that video as a whole led you to more. Whether it's a series or just an anthology of amazing videos of the same experience. And that's what people want. And I get that Fables of Aida and Fables of Refuge are completely different experiences. And that's just a creative expression. But yeah. It's... Most people today would have put this live stream on a separate channel, put the talking head videos on a separate channel, put Fables of Refuge on a separate channel, and Fables of Aida on a separate channel, because they're all different experiences. I just put it on one channel, and I kind of have to control the levers the best I can to make sure that each thing gets the love that it needs, especially when it starts. That's my logic. That happened to you too, Sam? Alright, so the thing I really want to show you. We got these summer trees, right? Look how lovely these summer trees are. Well, I decided to do a test. A little test. A autumn test. Come on, baby. There we go. So it's not locked in completely yet. I still got to put some more glue on it. And I sprinkled some of the fallen leaves on the bottom, which really goes a long way to giving an autumn feel. but next to each other. See, there's that spiral look because they're all manufactured. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit of the green polyester. Yeah, polyester fiber that's kind of holding everything together. But I'm okay with that. Having that little bit of green breaks up the warm tones. Having a couple of those. Look how much that's nice to look at. Like, the trees are pretty. The green trees, right? But it's just a bunch of green trees at a certain point. You put that contrast in there. The forest looks lovely. It catches your eye. It's that uncanny valley part of your brain. It's like, oh, there's something different. The same thing is likely to happen when I do the purple tree, which is representing the Fey tree. Is it the wild tree or the Fey tree? It's Fey tree. That's right. But yeah. I did a test with one of the spare trees that were fairly ready to go. Kobe, what up, David? Yeah. This is very nice. Love it. Make a couple more of these and they'll be all set. So what do we have? We have 5 trees right now. 4 summer. 1 autumn. I think there's another tree out here. I do have one more tree that's kind of ready to go. Should this be an autumn tree or a summer tree? I think this is going to be an autumn tree. So that way I have 2 autumns and 4 summer for now. That'll be the beginning of the set. But these are pretty much ready to go. Just need to harden up the protective layer for this one. Why is this rock? Weird. Yeah, these spell cards are made of these trees, guys. They're eco-friendly, you know, protect the forest. Oh. Yeah, it feels good to have the trees made. I can kind of see them. I know the feeling of them. They're great. A lot more work than most people do put in their trees, you know. This single apex piece where we made it 3 inches taller is something that most people don't do at all. They just usually put the tree right here on the ground, and honestly that would have looked like just a big bush. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that it isn't a bush and it's clearly a tree. Did draw this yesterday, by the way. Make a Anglo-Saxon hut for D&D. Wanted to update you on the trees. The spell cards. Spell cards came out wonderful. Oh, my finger just rubbed against that and it's already beaten. That's okay. It was a prototype. Yeah, I just need to go through and make sure that they're all formatted correctly. A couple of them seem to be just stuck to the left a little bit. They feel nice in my hand. Happy about this. Well, you have to have bushes too. More work for me. I saw it before you deleted it, Sean. Oh, this is kind of crafting, kind of world building, so it's on point. Because I'm editing Lost Mines of Colossus right now. The cinematic version. It's got a ways to go, but it's chugging along. What are these cards for? For a client? For a game you are playing? They're just for spell cards for Shadowdark that I'm making. I want my players to have access to the spells without needing the book. They can just get a deck of cards and they have their spells. They can organize it the way they want. If they want to go look it up, there's a reference page number right there. Tells you it's a spell card right there. What tier, what class. Does it tells you what class it is too. As well as this is back. Yeah, I just want to make it easier to play Shadowdark. Because Shadowdark's all in one book. And I think spell cards are fantastic tools. So these are the wizard cards. For the most part, I think they turned out really well. And I think the priest cards, the next prototype order will be a reorder of the wizards, plus the priests, and the witch. So all three major spellcasters. Oh, there is the seer. I'll order the seer separate. Look at me, I'm special. You sure are, Kobe. Alright, so the other night I was editing Colossus, and we're in, for those who've seen the uncut, you would know the scene reference I'm talking about. Those who have not seen the uncut, what is it, 6-hour long one-shot? It's available for backers, Patreon, go check it out. But there's a scene in there where I'm handing out loot and mostly artifacts from previous eras of the world. And I'm sitting there and I pause the edit and I let my ADHD take a hold. Just grab the wheel and here we go. And I was like, what are some more artifacts in my world? And I don't want to sit there and think of like these one-off items. I was like, what if there was an archaeologist team and they were digging, what would they find? Well, then I just dug through my eras and I came up with a bunch of stuff. So we have elven gear. I just started with the gear that you would imagine having that's useful to players. So different types of armor, the bows, the swords, SE Smiteful, which is an ability that the elven weapons have. There's an item in Shadowdark that's called an ancient sword. It's fine. It's an okay item. Contextually, it's really cool. But what I really love is the ability that comes with calling it an ancient. It's that it's a +1 and it's unbreakable, and it can be summoned to the owner if it's on the same plane. I really like that. That's an ancient item. Comes to you. Something about history and time connect these two things. This wielder and wielded, and I think that's really cool. Unbreakable. Ancient items solidify and get stronger over time. It's just a +1. I think that's okay. I think that's fine. It stacks on top of whatever else the item is, even if it's like, if it's an ancient elven shield, right? The shield is a +2, and because it's ancient, it's a +1. Got some javelins, some bracers, cloak, robes. I don't know what to do, what the robe's going to be, but I just wrote it down. Linens, metal. Went to orc. Orc was a little tough. But then I dug through the monster manual for Shadowdark and I looked at the giants. We got full plate armor, no shields, because orcs being half giants in this world, right? Why would they wear a shield if they put a shield all over their body? This is a live show? Yeah, this is live. Then we got swords, maces, axe, warhammers, spears. I was like, those are the weapons that they would use. Those are the things that you'd find. At first, I connected them to a different weapon per type of giant. But then I was like, it makes sense in the world that, you know, there'd be each type of giant or clan would have a variety of these. So that's just more customizable stuff. Ancient, cape, robe. I don't know what to do with rage, but I wanted rage to be a part of it because it's, especially for back then in the history for orcs. Orcs back then are more perceived as Tolkien-esque, more monstrous, whereas in Second Dawn, current eras, they are more of people. So I was rocking that. Mortal stuff. Well, you don't have to dig that up. They're all around. That's kind of the default stuff. But I did write down everything is assumed to be iron, which is a +1 against Fae and a -1 against demons. Bronze is enchantable metal. Steel, or warped steel, I should say, is made of iron plus burning charcoal only from Fae trees, not from normal charcoal like we would making steel in the real world. Making steel more rare and more of a challenge to get, even though it's a +3 attack and damage. Steel kills. Oh, axe beaks. Yeah. So I have axe beaks being the primary mount because horses don't exist. So I had orcs. In ancient times, their mounts were mammoths. In current days, in orc clans, their mounts and beasts of burdens are elephants. And then I just kind of went through some of the gear for the 3. If you've seen Curse of Amity Island, the 3 is Trace's faction. They're kind of the private military of the people. And this is what their armor would primarily be. So yeah, I nerded out about that stuff the other night. That's world building. That's crafting. All in one. Boom. Settle down. You're making me look bad. Speaking of giants, why are the cloud giants stronger than fire giants? According to the belts. I mean, I would imagine mountain giants being the strongest when it comes to the belts. More 16 times more specialier than me. I don't know. I think it's the rarity of it. I think in traditional 5e, cloud giants are rarer of an encounter, so therefore they must be more powerful. Because I guess the logic is you can get a belt of fire giant when you fight a fire giant, and a fire giant is a lower CR, so therefore more likely to fight it. Storm giant is the strongest. Yeah, 100%. I don't know, man. That's... I think just a belt of giant strength across the board makes the most sense. It's like, oh, it maxes out your strength. That's at least how it works in Shadowdark. But then you can customize it if you like, oh, you want to make it a belt of fire giant. Just do like, oh, with this belt, I'm as strong as a giant, and I take half damage from fire. That's more dope than 25 strength. Keep bumping that. But if we've learned anything from Wizards of the Coast, they prefer to focus on number get big over narrative and texture. All you have to do is look at the new Ranger for 2024. And that will tell you everything you need to know. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. I love that everyone gives them the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, this feels rushed. It's like, guys, they've been talking about this for a year. They've been hardcore talking about this for a year. They've been softly talking about it for the last 3 years. We've all known it was coming for the last 5 years. That it wasn't rushed. When you're a corporation, the last 5 years is plenty of time to outline some of the things that you want to see, some of the improvements that you want to add, especially if you're a team of writers. If you're an individual, yeah, 5 years is a little tight. We wanted to remove concentration requirements for clerics, proceeding to make ranger only concentration. Yeah. Also, I know that's a homebrew, but in the Shadowdark Discord, there's somebody working on a druid class, and one of the things that they really wanted to focus on was that the druid has no like purposefully attack / damage based spells. The spells do damage, but the purpose of the spell is not attack. The damage is a consequence of the spell. And I find that a great like direction and guide for a class, because you already have a wizard that is the damage dealing spellcaster, and you have a priest that is the healing and aiding spellcaster, and the druid being more of another support caster, but focusing on how do you use the environment to aid versus the miracles to aid. Semi-check, rangers aren't clerics. Oh, dude, Kobe, you got him. Oops, did I just break this? Great. How do I fix it? That's how I fix it. Oh, that's right. The next talking video, DM advice video, is shot and partially edited. By partially, I mean I have the whole thing edited, and now I'm just doing a B-roll pass with some light music. Forgot to let you guys know about that. It takes a long time for me to make my videos, especially when your clients go, hey, we need you to work for a couple days a week on this project. Great. Then for the last 4 weeks straight, it's 4 to 5, sometimes 6 days a week. Charge them. But it takes time away. Oh, and you know what? That brings me back to confidence. I don't know if Incredible, you're still here, but not putting pressure on yourself in the way that, hey, I know the door's open, Luna. Hi.
Hi, sorry.
Apparently. Don't feeling confident about like, hey, I'll get to it. I have to take care of myself and get my stuff done, and the creativity and the projects will get done. That's just a balancing of like letting go of perfectionism and not making things for the sake of for the final product, and just making it for enjoying the process. It takes a while to get things done. But that's what time is for. Like making all these cuts. Just patience. Let me know how much of this is the most comfortable sound you've ever heard.
very necessarily. So then it's this if I'm in the eating room.
Oh, she wants you here too?
Yes, of course she does.
Yeah,
It's
Luna?
not that we spent all for eating.
No, she needs both her humans
In
in
the
one
same
room.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luna?
But then she doesn't want me to talk to her.
Good, now that you're here, I will walk away.
Yeah, I was like, my teacher was reading off the homework assignment and she was bellowing at me in the kitchen.
Amazing.
I have a headache.
You have a headache?
Yeah,
That's rough.
I don't know why.
Is it the sound that I'm making?
I'm having caffeine and coffee. I'm like, am I having a caffeine withdrawal? I don't know. I might regret this later. I thought you were using that as a monitor, but you're... Oh, you are! Hi, I'm on camera.
Yeah.
Hi, Kobe. Kobe is, I think, on the 4th Stormlight Archives book, so he's excited to read the
Oh, the 5th one that just came out?
No. He's on the 4th one, so he's excited to read the 5th one.
Yeah, the 5th one that just came out.
Yeah, he said it in my Discord. Is this... Are you casting this spell?
Yeah. What is it? What spell did I just give you?
Resilient Sphere. It's a tier 4 wizard. It lasts for 5 rounds, and you have to be at least 5 feet. You conjure a weightless, glassy sphere around you that extends out to close range. For the spell's duration, nothing can pass through or crush the sphere. How dare you? Are you trying to tell me to leave your space?
No, I'm just saying. I don't know. I just handed you a card. You can roll the sphere in a near distance on your turn. So you're basically making a magical hamster wheel for you and your party.
Yeah.
It's
like Liam's hut.
It's like Liam's hut, but it's a hamster
What
wheel.
are you scared about?
Or
It's
a hamster
just
ball.
It's just a camera.
See?
What are you scared about?
Yeah.
You don't want the folks at home to see you? But you're so cute. Yeah, you go now. Do you just not want to be held? Is that what it is?
Gonna start Oathbreaker in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Sam's
You know, I
Sam's
really-
half boy cat. Gar complains for him and his girlfriend when they're not in the same space.
You know, Sam, that is very real because these cats grew up in a studio. And then we went to a 1-bedroom that they definitely couldn't handle. But I tended to stay in the front room because that's where the AC was in our old apartment. And now we have a 2-bedroom apartment, but feels like 4 because of how it's like how the rooms are separated. The cats hate it. And we have central AC, so when they wake up, they're very upset when we're separated. When they're sleeping, they don't care.
Yeah.
And they typically always want me to come into David's room.
Yeah, they don't want me to go into her room. They don't want us to go into the living room. They just want to come here.
Yeah, but when I'm in class, they do both stay in the bedroom with me, which is cute but sometimes annoying. Like, I sent you a text, but I didn't think you could read it because you're on stream. But I was like, I had the blur on my Zoom today, but because Snape's a black cat and the room's white, you can still see just like this blur in the background running around. I was like, he's so distracting no matter how much I tried to blur out the background.
That's so funny.
Pretty sure I have like little cuts all over my ankle and feet.
Little claw marks as she stretches and
Yeah.
digs in.
Like, look at that on my feet.
That's rough.
That's why her claws have to get cut. Well, both their claws have to get cut today.
Where is
Yeah, I'm talking about you.
my rulers? My rulers are outside.
Let's tree walk. Thing you hate.
What?
Oh, hi. You want to say goodbye to the good people of Fables? No, that sounds
Good people of Fables, hear us now.
I only want to see them if they worship and bend the knee at Queen Luna Lovegood. In chat, say do bend the knee for Luna Lovegood. Is the queen of the universe. Yeah?
Here, let's get a big shot of the cat. Luna Lovegood.
I am your queen, Papa. Bend the knee.
If I flip that.
Oh god.
It's not.
Do it, do it.
Yeah, that'll work. Alright, here we go. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong one. Look at this little cat. Look at that cat.
Oh, you can see some of her burnt amber fur on her chest.
Oh yeah.
With her
She's
white
got a little
hair.
amber fur right around here.
Her rusted fur, I should
Rust.
say. Wow, no one bent the knee for you. Oh, wait. No one bent the knee for you, but they all say how beautiful and cute you are. They will suffer the consequences
Yeah, Luna.
for not giving the blood oath. I am their kitty bearer. No gold for them.
Knee is bent.
Good job, Sam. You know. Does not need to be on me while I drink coffee now.
Ah, I keep clicking the wrong one.
She's, are you cleaning all my cooties off? Not like we cuddled this morning, you're still covered in it. It's the kisses that she's cleaning off. I would bend the knee, but I already served my own fluff ball. You know, Sneaky, you answered correctly. Because they are in closer proximity, and they will attack you if you bend the knee for another.
Who is this kitty across the internet that you bend the knee for?
Yep.
I will not cut them because they are cat, but I will cut you.
Yes, the human will always suffer. What do you make? Oh, you're working on your rocks.
Rocks.
Back to the rocks, guys. How do you feel about that?
Me?
No, I'm asking the audience.
Well, most of the stream was talking about trees and how to DM spell
No, it's
cards.
fine. Oh, you did the unboxing for them.
Yeah.
You guys, that was me. I told him to wait to do it on stream for you guys. You're welcome. But yeah, are you all done with trees?
For now.
Why is this one not on stream? It's the prettiest one.
It's the prettiest one.
It's the best season.
Here we go, guys. Prettiest tree
Barely.
of them all.
There we go. Oh, that's right, Sam. You just moved your brother. Are you in San Diego right now? What's Table Story?
Someone in chat said that they watched it, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard of them, so I brought
Oh,
them up to just kind of look at them.
Are they a podcast?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I figured since they did art. Well, that's a long drive you did, especially from Oregon, so I hope you get some rest. San Diego has real good weather because they're super close to the ocean, so you enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That headache?
Yeah, and I think, like, one of the curses of doing classes online is that, like, I'm in class online and then I'm doing homework on my computer, so I'm just being infected with blue screen. Yeah.
Have a good day, Sam. Yeah, that's my life as a editor.
Yeah. And it's funny because my Kindle, I know you say it has, like, a blue tone, but I don't experience the same effect.
Well, it is different, but it is still the same.
But I don't experience the same effect. Like, if I stay on my phone late, I can tell I don't feel good. If I read on my Kindle before bed, I feel fine as if I'm reading a normal book. Maybe it's because I'm just reading and I'm using my brain, like, in a better way that helps build memory synapses.
Maybe.
Yeah.
As I... There we go. No, I mean, everyone's brain is a little bit different.
Yeah. I think someone from Fables is following me on Goodreads.
That's cute.
I'm reading the Words book right now.
Yeah.
It was picked for book club, which you never know when you pick a new book what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And it's written by a local author. I don't know if she's from Sacramento or if she just moved here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she has a medical background because she's really good at discussing like really good at psychoanalyzing because one of the characters is a therapist, but she deals with like very intense cases, and so she's really good at talking about that stuff. Also, the main character has
Could just been good research.
no, you can tell the way she writes it, and the first character has diabetes. So all of her medical jargon is like really well done and really interesting because she explains it so well. But her actual writing sucks. Like she says everything like point blank. She when she tries to use metaphors, it sounds like very elementary. And she's not a very like her descriptions are all very obvious. So she doesn't have like her own voice. She just writes what's easy. And then all the characters have experiences that are very like immature, and I'm like, that's not how people act in real life, and this makes them not interesting. It makes them generic, and so I'm like hate reading it right now because one, we have to read it for book club, and it's like it's an easy read because she's not a good writer, and so I'm like my Kindle says I have like 4 hours left, so I'll probably finish it by like Monday or Tuesday because I'm getting about through an hour a day, and it's just I can't wait for it to be over. I hate it so much. I also think that she.
Do you know what the next book in book club is going to be?
I think we talked about doing Pride and Prejudice, which I've been wanting to read, so we'll see if we do that.
Is it a spin-off version like Zombies, or is it just the original?
I still want to read the Zombies, but I want to read the original first. But yeah, it's book is driving me insane. And I'd rather be reading my Heir of Fire fantasy book, which is so good. And also, I hate people going, oh, well, it's the author's first book. And I'm like, I've read many authors' first books who are really good at writing, so...
I mean, I'm just then impressed that the writer did it. Finished it.
That's why, I'm going to tell my secret right now so everyone knows. If I don't like your book, it will get 3 stars. If I hate it, it's 3 stars. I won't go below that because I feel like you still did the work to write it, and it's still really hard to start a project and finish it. And there's probably someone out there who does enjoy it, so I won't take away your credit. So that's what you get 3 stars with no comment. That means I hate your book. you get A for effort.
A for effort. C for effort.
You get a C for effort.
Ugh.
Wait, Allie, have you not read Oathbringer, or have you just not? Okay, so Kobe,
Oh, Kobe's deep in your Goodreads right now. I'm grabbing coffee.
You must be the one that just followed me. I don't want to call you out, but Mikkel Monk. Oh, that's right. You did say in Discord that was okay. I started Oathbringer. I really just wish the series would be turned into a show. I really enjoy it, but at the same time, I don't. Like, I don't enjoy that Sanderson's books are 1,000 pages long, because some things I really like and some things I just wish weren't there. And everyone has told me you should have started with Mistborn, blah blah blah, and I'm tired of hearing that argument. I like his writing, just not like I would read it and enjoy it and then I'd walk away and not think about it. And I feel like if I'm away from the book and I'm not thinking about it constantly, that's not a good sign. Now I wish the audiobooks were done by better people, but the people he chose are very like dry. I think it's the guy that does Dune, and like it's so like it's such a dry classical interpretation that I don't enjoy the audiobook people either. So I unfortunately don't want to invest my time in the series anymore, and it sucks because I still want to know what's happening, but I'm not going to invest the time. I still have his copy of The Midnight Painter and The Wizard's Handbook, which I'm going to read those at some point. But right now, Sarah J. Maas is the love of my life, and I am trying to get through Throne of Glass right now, and I can't because of work at school, and it's very frustrating. So Heir of Fire is getting about like a chapter a week, which makes me want to cry. So I think winter break I'm probably going to do nothing but tear through as much of the Throne of Glass series as I can. I would say Sarah J. Maas is my Sanderson for those hardcore Sanderson fans. So because like I'm gonna finish Throne of Glass and then I'm gonna reread Akatar and Crescent City, because just like Sanderson, they're all connected in the same universe, which is really cool. And I'm seeing, since Throne of Glass was the first series that she wrote, I'm seeing like all the bread pieces start to like come together. And so now I want to, like, after I have like sort of the back history, which I think it's like the prequel of everything, it's really interesting. So that's what I'm investing my time in right now. So I'm sorry, Kobe, it's not gonna happen. They just need to make I feel like a show would probably be best, because
For what?
for Stormlight Archives.
I mean, they're totally going to be working on it.
But I'm saying show versus movie. I think it should be a show because the books are so long, and there's
Like okay, yeah.
and there's so many side characters that are.
Do you think, because I don't mean to cut you off, but like I think this is an important question for what you're about to say, because there's so many side characters and stuff. Do you think, because of the union limitation to TV writing right now, which is why we have 8-episode seasons, because if you jump up to 9 episodes, you have to, by union, add 5 more writers to your payroll, and that goes up to 13 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping from 8 episodes to 13 is a big budget jump.
So
do you think a single Stormlight book
No.
could exist in an 8-episode season,
No,
or a 13-episode season?
No, not either, because if we look at the All Souls trilogy, which they made the show based on, called from the first book, A Discovery of Witches,
Mm-hmm.
each of those books are 500 pages plus. They are very dense. The author is a historian, and she does a ton of research, so there is a fuck ton of stuff in there, and they did a good job of balancing the big overall plot, but a lot of character moments were missed that I think are vital to a lot of the characters' arc. Like, we have stopped watching it because you tease me so much when I'm watching it, and it kind of breaks my heart that it makes it not fun anymore.
Okay, so what I tease you about in the show is that I don't think it's the book's problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's the show's problem.
It's the lack of time.
They rush it a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and moments that I see are probably important in the book narratively, where we're getting to know their thoughts and the connections between the characters. How the show has chosen to produce it, I laugh at, and it's easy for me to go Science Theater 3000 and mock it.
Yeah, and it sucks because, like, you're not a reader, so, like, this is as far as I can get to share that story with you, so I want to share it with you, but then it sucks because then it...
Allow me to enjoy it my way, and we can pound through the show.
Then we need to finish it, because I think it's, like...
It's the same way as we sit and enjoy Rings of Power.
We're not talking about Rings of Power on this. That would be a whole nother discussion. But, so therefore, I actually think Stormlight Archives should be an anime.
Ooh, that would be cool.
As dense as it is, I think that visually, for all the stuff that he has built in his world, like how the weather and the plants and bugs and creatures and all that are, like, the ecosystem is very important to the world that he's created. You guys, I know this stuff even if I'm not, like, a hardcore Sanderson fan. I deep dived for my channel.
Yeah,
which are all private now on my Patreon. I had to do that because the algorithm.
That's fair.
I was unfortunately only getting Sanderson fans.
Sean, pruning videos isn't necessarily a thing that we would want to do, right? We would like to leave things public. But when we want to make new things or express different ideas, it's either get a whole new channel, which is an inconvenience to all users, and yourself to some degree, because now you have to make all the branding and all that stuff. Basically,
YouTube was not recommending almost anything else on my channel, and now, like, my newer videos still are able to peak over 150 versus before it was really hard. And I have new subscribers coming who enjoy, like, my very simple, mellow, slow book content, because that's all I can physically handle with work.
And someday you might be able to re-release those once the channel gets recommended in a little bit different direction.
Yeah, so we'll see. But I think anime would work well to visually show off.
Kind of like the Rohirrim.
The War of the Rohirrim. I'm so excited for that. Oh my god, there's boys. little boys who are all pissy because there's a lead woman again in Lord of the Rings. They're all upset.
Well, hopefully it's not Galadriel level.
No, because okay, so okay.
We could agree on that.
We're gonna do this really quick. The writers of Rings of Power are very different than the writers who did the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyett, and Fran Walsh. I love them. They respect Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to write Tolkien women lead characters in fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that they have a female lead because it harkens back to Éowyn, and then we also have Éowyn narrating as she's telling this story, which I think is
of like her grandma, basically.
Yeah, which I think is like really romantic, and it's like a nice tie-in. Bye, CJ. I wonder if they've all left because I've hijacked.
Oh, CJ just showed up.
He's leaving now. Oh, he's saying good day, everyone. My bad. Hello. Welcome, CJ. Welcome to Allie, where she rants and takes over C-Mike's podcast while he makes rocks.
Guys.
Your rocks are not even on screen. There we go.
You wanted the tree.
We can do both. There, you're both in frame now.
Again, guys, this is not my stream.
So, I think it works really well, and it's quite beautiful, and if you know anything about Éowyn from the books, she is the exact same thing in the movies. Everyone's all, I mean, I think the guys who are whining about that are the ones who accept that Arwen has an actual character in the movies because she's such a background. Thanks, CJ. Always here to give rants about Lord of the Rings. Because I am here to fight about lore and canon and continuity, good writing, and fight for good, well-written female characters. So I trust that the War of the Rohirrim will have a good female character because of the team. I think that the Hobbit situation with Tariel was not their fault.
What Hobbit?
The Hobbit series with Tariel. She's the redhead elf.
Oh, the Hobbit movies. When
Yes.
you said series, I was actually thinking of a TV
Sorry,
show.
I shouldn't have done that. That's not their fault. Guillermo walked away for whatever reason. We still
And then
don't
Bob
know.
Iger.
And Bob Iger went, "Oh, your 3 years have now turned into like a year and a half. I know you don't have scripts for any of these, but you need them done." So they had literally no time, and I think had they had time, it would have the Tariel situation would have been fixed. I also think the romance with her and
I also think that was a studio request.
I do too. So that's why it's like, again, they weren't getting enough time. So anyways, back to Stormlight Archives. I think it should be an anime so that way it can show off his ecosystem. And then I think too the way, because he's talked about how besides it being inspired by his campaigns, it's also been inspired a lot by what are they called, like Japanese RPGs. That's what JRPGs, right? Are they Japanese RPGs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that he talked about that. So I think that anime would fit. It's a Japanese role-playing game, right? Thank you, Kobe. Okay, so he's talked about that, and so I think that doing an anime then would reflect his characters really well, and it would fit the style of his storytelling, and that would then allow. Thank you, Kobe. That would then allow all the multiple characters to exist, kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm more of a fan of ARPGs.
American, you can fuck off.
Swordplay.
Okay,
It's been a while.
So I think that would just do the best because then we can see all the side characters, we can get all the side stories. No one's upset when an episode starts on a side character because you expect that in anime, like when you don't open up on your main characters and you open up on a brand new character.
Yeah.
So you're more open to that.
Whereas live action, a lot of people are upset with Shogun because the story structure isn't traditional Western story structure.
Yeah.
Even though it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, and a lot of his side characters, and especially Kobe saying the Jacks, I can't remember what they're called right now, the like chapters in between the parts, those are really important because they tie in to like the whole plot.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they pop up in this book or the next one, they lay down important foundation. They're good, like they set up important things. So if we have those moments, no one is upset about this happening. So I think that would be the best way for his show to be done. I think if you did live action, it would not do well.
I'm a big fan of not adapting books into live action, especially fantasy. Books that kind of take place in the real world, easier, way easier, makes good indie films.
Yeah.
But when we're talking fantasy, like, it's almost like everyone wants to make their Star Wars, and you can't do that anymore. Like, to make your book into Star Wars and make it real, like, oh, we went to the desert.
You're using the worst example because I can't stand that IP.
But I'm just like the original Star Wars movie, right?
Well, those are different because they're not based off a book.
I know, but like
off a script. So
people
like,
want that, like, oh, I want to make the world real because of that.
But so that's why I think you can't even use that as a comparison, because that is based off a script, in which therefore the world building is just within the conjuncture of what a screenplay is. Versus if you take a fantasy book, it is like anywhere from like 400 to 1,000 pages with all this lore built in, and most writers don't. I feel like a lot of television writers don't understand that stuff. Like, I think
especially modern television writers,
I think the show writers for Game of Thrones understand it if they have text, but if they don't have text, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Same thing with Rings of Power. They don't have any text. They don't understand what they're doing. I really do feel like someone's on Wikipedia and they're not really reading stuff. Or they have a source person in the room and they get one soundbite and they don't ask for like more information. They just go, oh, I like that idea, and take it. And then like if you look at Peter Jackson, he has adapted so many different IPs. He's also done a lot of original fantastical stories that he knows how to adapt, and he also knows how to bring like an original thing to, like, I just feel like he knows how to do fantasy really well, whether or not he has IP, because he understands story
and spectacle. Yes,
because even with some of the issues in The Hobbit, after I reread the book and then we rewatched the movie, I went, you know what? These actually aren't that bad, especially for how little time they had. The soul is still there, and that's super hard. I will forever be upset about the casting, but the casting could have also come down to makeup choice, which could have been also the studio.
The studio's like, no, we don't want ugly people. We want sexy people. Make the ugly guy the laughing stock.
Exactly.
They went very stereotypical with that.
So Kobe's talking about the Arcane series because I think it was a video game. No?
The trees are looking good. Incredible. Thanks, man.
We started Arcane. I enjoy it, but enough to keep watching, which is my own fault. C-Mike really wants to keep watching, which he can't.
Which one?
The Arcane series.
Oh, yeah. The final season's about to come out. Yeah. I gotta rewatch the whole thing.
Games to movies are hard to do. World of Warcraft lore is huge. David watched the World of Warcraft.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go blow my nose and
it's so funny how everyone told me leading up to watching it, like, hey, you're just gonna probably want to skip through the human story and just watch the orc stuff, because that's the best part. I was like, can't be that bad. Surely not. Then here I am, skip. Like, it's just, there's no conflict. I have a whole video that I'm about to release. I just have to add the B-roll about conflict in storytelling. And there's no conflict in the human story that it has any, like, propel, like, it just doesn't, like, I don't like it. It was rough. The orc story actually had real, multiple stacking conflicts piling on top of itself, making you care and wanting to see the outcome. The human one was like 2 conflicts, never stacked, scattered apart. Also, I knew who the villain was, because the first scene that he shows up in, I'm like, that's the bad guy, because 1, that actor is always cast as the bad guy, and 2, I know that he's probably very expensive, and the most expensive actor is always the villain.
And that's very real, Kobe, because honestly, I don't know anyone that's gonna watch World of Warcraft is not a WoW fan. So for you saying after you read the books, you're like, I hated the movie, they did such a a disservice to the fans, because really, like, no one, like, I think there's like a 10% audience that's gonna watch that doesn't play the game or hasn't read the books and doesn't know the lore. Like, and I feel like sometimes they try to cater to people outside of the fan base, and there is an asterisk here. It's important to cater to the fan base to the extent of the fact that I do think audiences, as long as the writing is good,
Yep.
the audience needs to be open-minded to
the IP.
To the IP, allowing different like diversity casting to come in. Same thing with having like more female leads. Like, as long as the writing's good, I don't care.
Here's the best example.
Like the wood elf in Rings of Power.
Yeah.
I don't
love him. He's wonderful.
Care what he does on screen. I love him because he embodies an elf of Tolkien's world.
Yes.
There's actually like a video that my friend shared online where he's like reciting one of Golem's scenes, and he does it so well. Like, you can just tell he loves Tolkien so much. Same thing, Donan's wife, Dina. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with her. She's fantastic. I love her so much. And so I think that, like, we need to not be so attached to, like, same thing in my series, also
So attached to what?
To what the book originally is. As long as it's the spirit and like most of the lore is there, you should be okay. So like in my favorite series, Discovery of Witches, in the third season, which is the third book, one of my favorite characters, Fernando, is introduced.
Fernando. I'm just thinking Mamma Mia now.
I think he's Spanish in the book. They hired an actor who appears black, but he's British. And I'm still okay with it because he embodies the soul of Fernando. I sometimes wish he had his Spanish accent because that's what I'm so used to in the book.
Sure.
But he is still Fernando. He knows the soul.
I mean, Gladiator 1, Russell Crowe plays a Spaniard in Rome. Okay. No accent.
We're not getting on.
And we love it.
Yes. But Ridley Scott is a whole other issue when it comes to like proper casting. Now, in Discovery of Witches, Fernando's background didn't affect who he was as a person. Does that make sense?
Yes. His story and his purpose in the story had nothing to do with his ethnicity, his history, heritage.
It's the whole reason why I won't see Napoleon, because no one is French in that movie, and I think that's incredibly disrespectful. So
if I ever watch Napoleon, it's going to be the 4-hour uncut.
You enjoy that all alone. And so I still love the actor they picked for Fernando. When he comes on screen, I get all the fuzzies. Like, I love him so much. He's one of my favorite characters. So people need to be open-minded to that.
So the best.
Wait, we have a lot of comments.
Hold on. I want to respond to the adaptation thing about the spirit of a thing. Mm-hmm. So there are 2 points I want to make. The first one is very subjective, borderline objective. The second one is very objective, borderline subjective. First thing, Dread with Carl Urban,
and I love that movie.
Carl Urban in Dread. It is perfect. It is the perfect Dread movie. It captures the spirit. Mm-hmm. Fantastical world building without putting little scenes into the world building. Mm-hmm. It's all about Dread usually, but they did what they did to Mad Max and Fury Road, which is Mad Max and Dread are there, and they do a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Because we want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot is not their plot. They're guesting in someone else's plot in their world.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to bring new characters in, because we've talked about this. The reason why we like Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because that's a lot of heavy lifting you need to get to someone to enjoy new Spider-Man, is because Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., was in that movie.
Oh, you're getting deep in the weeds.
Telling us that we can enjoy that character, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to make new characters in the adaptation, you need some of the original characters that we love, casted well, telling us as an audience to care about this character, this new character.
Yes.
You know, if you want to put a female elf that doesn't belong in the Hobbit into the Hobbit. Pick characters that we know in the Hobbit that gives us a reasons to enjoy them, as long as they have a purpose to the plot.
So, Tariel is from the appendices of Return of the King, which goes into some of the past. So I'm not upset about her being there. I am frustrated with how they didn't get more time to work on her character, and that potentially a romance was forced, or they just didn't have enough time to develop it in the right way. So I'm okay with Tariel, because Tariel she is huge from Tolkien lore. She's talked about it,
but she doesn't belong in that plot.
I'm not against it though, because she's still part of it. It doesn't feel wrong for her to be in that plot versus like, I don't know why Tom Bombadil is in Rings of Power except to give exposition, which is a waste of time.
Okay, so this brings into my second point.
Hold on, I want to answer the comment.
Oh yeah, sure.
So
second point on hold.
So Kobe talked about how I think the WoW movies chose a difficult story, and I don't know that movie, but I agree that like sometimes they pick the wrong story and then they put themselves in a box.
Yeah.
Swordplay and Sorcery thinks Rings of Power season 1 he hated 1. Season 2's better, but it still doesn't feel Tolkien.
The best part of season 2, with no spoilers, is the forging of the rings. This is the best part.
And the dwarves.
The dwarves are too.
The dwarves and the forging of the rings, and then
the dwarves are great because we love the characters.
Elrond solo.
Because we love the character and the actors killing it.
But they feel like Tolkien.
Yeah.
Like that. Like they feel like Tolkien. So I completely.
But the rings, the forging of the rings works.
That also
because it's the plot.
That also feels like. So I agree with you. Swordplay and Sorcery.
Go for it, painting. What's up?
That it doesn't feel like it, which is frustrating.
So the second point, and I think you'll notice this when you start watching more adaptations, is adaptations, IPs are no longer stories.
Yeah.
IPs are aesthetics for stories.
I hate the Harfoot subplot. I hate it. I hate it. It's so boring. I don't care.
I laughed out loud when they started saying, we might be able to make holes to live in the ground.
I want to walk out of the room when it's happening because I hate it.
So, IPs are becoming less stories and more aesthetics to put over a story.
Which I hate.
So like
because
the Minecraft movie.
We as humans, we care about story and not aesthetic, which is why the Beetlejuice sequel is so good, because they did story and aesthetic.
Correct.
You need to still match the world we fell in love with.
Of the latest Star Wars movies, they're just Star Wars aesthetics. Lightsabers and force in space.
You mean men fighting with glowing sticks?
And women.
I don't care about that franchise. Stop using it as an example.
The Minecraft movie, put blocks everywhere, and it's Minecraft. Borderlands. Put it in this wacky space thing, and it's Borderlands. I'm talking robot.
You know who does aesthetic and story well? The Lego movies.
Correct.
Because they write a good story, and we're just there to see the Legos.
But the studio only sees the aesthetic.
True.
They don't, for some reason, their human brain doesn't understand how to be human.
What do you guys think instead of adapting... Wait, hold on.
So...
What do you guys think if instead of adaptation of IPs were explored through a mere darkly POV? For example, in Lord of the Rings, what if Gandalf took the ring from Frodo? Oh, I hate that. I'm sorry, CJ.
Okay, so...
Because it's not the spirit or soul of the story.
Right. What you're suggesting is an inspiration.
It's fan fiction.
It's an inspiration of like, you wouldn't be able to use Gandalf and Frodo because they're tied to the IP, but a wizard stealing a ring from a halfling, there's okay, why? You just got to figure out the conflict there, and there might be an interesting story.
But because I just think that because so much, like, it just doesn't fit the world, so that's why I have an issue with it. I like that he said, I think the Lego movie is a better Matrix movie than the Matrix. I don't really care for the Matrix, so I'm gonna agree with you there.
Oh my god, that's so funny. That's so funny.
Go for it. Painting said hello. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Hi.
She's a great person. Have a great build. Thanks, man. But yeah, even The Witcher. It was Witcher aesthetics on a plot that wasn't The Witcher.
I think the thing that bothers
And the aesthetics were only really in season 2.
So I think this is important to know. As an outsider who hadn't played the games, didn't know anything about the book, I really liked the show. And then season 3 started, and I said, what is this, like, piece of crap? They changed the witch's character, the sorcerer, drastically, where she was, like, begging for Geralt's forgiveness, and I feel like I hated that because it was so anti-feminist, and she was written as someone who's like, I do what I want, and I know that she fucked up, but I rather that she would have, like, stood on her decision and been like, yeah, I messed up, but I'm not gonna, like, beg at your heels. And instead they made her, like, this weird mother that started caretaking for the family.
Well, that's because that's where the story that they're basing all their choices off goes.
No, they could have went in a completely different direction.
They could have. It's like they chose to take the IP and tell their own story and just have aesthetic over it. But then they keep, every time they have a chance to go deeper into their creativity and tell something interesting with bold choices that, yeah, would be not the original thing, but they just go, okay, the book, reset up, and then make our own thing again.
Well, and that's why I'm saying where it comes down to good writing.
Yes.
And that's why, like, I think that, as I said, I didn't know anything, and I was enjoying the show. And then season 3 started, and it was a big pile of garbage, and the writing got bad. So, like, and that's the issue that I have with Rings of Power, is, like, they don't understand Tolkien. Some writers do and some don't, which is very frustrating, so there's not any continuity on the show. And it doesn't contain, like, the spirit, and they're not following, like, only certain parts follow the story, and then they do these weird branched outside stories, and so that's why I feel like it's overall bad writing, because it's the showrunner. Like, the showrunner is not fixing the show, and he's letting, like, all the loose ends hang out.
I think they have 3 showrunners.
Which is also problematic, because the showrunners then are running separate plot lines. They're not running the entire show, which is the whole point of a showrunner. So, like, okay, for example, if anyone here has watched The Magicians, it was a sci-fi show that was adapted off a book series by
Sci-fi show? Sci-Fi Channel.
Sci-Fi Channel. It was adapted from a book series by Lev Grossman. That is such a beautiful adaptation, because what the writers did is that, like, I'd say book 1 mostly the show mostly follows book 1, and then they took parts of 2 and 3 and moved them around drastically, but I didn't care, because 1, how the book is written is really good as a book, but if you put it on screen it would not be that interesting. 2, because it's on sci-fi, they had a limited budget. So what the writers did is they focused really hard on writing really good character stories. And then
it's like what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, they focused on character, especially for a TV show. And these characters all fit the essence of the book, and I think also elevated the characters, because I love Lev, and I think he's a really good writer, but sometimes, like, depending on who you are as a writer, you can only go so far with stuff based on who you are as a person. And so...
What do you mean by that?
You have limitations based on just who you are. Maybe you have less life experiences. For example, like, one of the characters that he wrote in the book does and doesn't exist in the show. So Margot is created for the show. She is essentially... Margot exists in the book, but, like, as like a fake character to one of the main characters. I can't remember what her name is in the books. But in the book, she's, like, very 2D, she's very flat, and the show brought that character to life through Margot, and they changed her storyline a lot, but they made her better. Her and Elliot still have, like, her and Elliot actually have a better friendship now because of that. The stuff with Quentin is a lot deeper. Even the storyline with Alice is done really well, because I like what happens in the book, but the show is able to play on it more. And the ending is actually different, but I don't hate it, because I feel like when the writers read the book, they went, okay, we really love this, we love the world, we love the characters, but we think we can make it better, and in a way, no disrespect. And they added, like, the casting was much more diverse, the characters were richer, they had better arcs, and the storylines were super fun, and it still felt like The Magicians. So that is something where I'm okay if you take a right-hand turn, as long as the soul is there, the lore is there, and the main story is there, even if it's loosely different. And I feel like so many writers don't know how to do that.
Well, because they're told just to get the aesthetics.
Yeah.
And then because IPs are the currency right now, writers have to use the aesthetic of other people's IPs to tell their own stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to get it. And so we're burning IP adaptions for the sake of original stories, but they're poor because of the politics. And like the writers, for example, of Rings of Power might be talented writers. In fact, we see scenes that they are talented.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's lack of continuity across the
board.
board.
But they clearly don't get, like, draft 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't get to do more drafts. They don't get to edit their work. And then on top of that, whatever more is being told from top down is limiting the story. We see the same thing on the new Games of Thrones show.
Yeah. So, Murphy, I think everything you're saying is super true. And I think the biggest issue is that, again, they're not exploring Tolkien's fantasy. So they're not taking into the account, like, how long elves lived. Like you said, they're not understanding the time of history. I think the biggest issue was that they were given, like, a very weird time frame to play with. And I don't think anyone on the team has read the Silmarillion. So there's a lot of things they're just not understanding.
They're paid to write, not read.
Which is why nothing matches up really well. I think that, like, if the show focused on the rings being made, we only dealt with Elrond sort of doing the politics about everything that was going on. And we could even, I think, honestly, like, I love Galadriel, but I don't think that she should be a main character. I would actually prefer if they made up a new character. Like, if they...
Someone who could die.
If they gave Elrond a sister...
No.
No, let me finish.
Yes.
It's not in canon, but it would make way more sense to make a brand new character to be someone who has a vendetta with Sauron and not be Galadriel, because Galadriel and her part in protecting the ring outside of Lothlorien is so important, like you said, about how the elves whittled down the power of Sauron. And so the fact that that is not existing right now is really throwing off the turbulence of the story. He also talked about, like, how Isildur shouldn't be alive right now, and that's true. And
yeah, I've thought about this here. When we think about how...
I wish that Numenor focused, like, more on the politics of, like, how that kingdom started and how it broke down, and they're moving it way too fast.
Well, those kingdoms, who's building a castle a mile away from Mordor? Well, who's building a castle in Mordor that becomes the Lich King's, or like the
That's the issue, is we don't have any
Witch King's
we don't
house.
have history. We don't have any history on the human kings, which I think we're behind on episodes, which might be coming up soon because he discussed it. But, like, the fact that, like, the Harfoot shouldn't exist because they're taking up time from the other things that are not happening.
My stance still is this: let's say I think one of the biggest problems of Rings of Power is the fact that after the show started, the strike happened and it changed the format of TV. It has to be 8 episodes, 1 hour long.
Yes, but because they don't, like, if you think about Game of Thrones, they don't have any text.
Not even that. That's not even the problem.
I know, but I understand what you're saying. But all they have to do is decide in this season what is going to happen from A to B and how do we make that happen.
That's what I'm saying. They're not able to do that because the writers are thinking, hey, we have a 15-20 minute episode series, but you have 8 episodes to deliver.
Yeah.
You're not writing for the format, so you have to start with the format. We have 8 episodes a season, and we're contracted for 5 seasons.
I'm sorry, but if you look at Sherlock Holmes, which is 4 episodes long and they're an hour and a half...
It's a different culture of skill and talent.
Study BBC then, because it can be done. And
that's what they should be doing, but it's too late and they're fumbling.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, let's say you have 8 episodes, okay?
Murphy's like, they have $1 billion, I don't give a fuck.
Most of that money is going to slave labor on the VFX.
I'm adding your I don't give a fuck because I believe that's what you're saying, Murphy.
If you have 8 episodes a season, you're contracted for 5 seasons. Doesn't matter what the budget is. You have to take off and land in 8. You have to be very specific with your story. You can't have multiple plot lines.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. They're not being specific. Like, so much bullshit happening in the Numenor shouldn't be happening. There's other things they could be doing that are better storytelling and more motivated.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, season. What is the show called? Rings of Power. The pitch is we're going to focus on the rings that led to the One Ring.
Which is why the Harfoot should not exist.
Exactly. So, what if we spend the first 8 episodes on making the Elven Rings? Not the last episode. The whole season is about making those rings. And therefore, the whole first season is solely focused on elves. There we can talk. We can introduce all the elven characters.
Yeah.
The second season are the dwarf rings. That's where we get the elven characters to come in, but now we're introducing the dwarven characters finally. Third season, the human rings. Now we're introducing Numenor. We have the dwarves come in, the elves come in. Now we're building up multiple plot lines because we have we have 2 seasons of humans because there's so many rings and we've built up multiple plot lines at this point. Okay, that's 4 seasons locked in and we got the rings.
Yeah. No, I know.
Now the final season is the One Ring and the final battle.
Yeah.
Now, Isildur being alive right now, I don't know how long it takes for elven hair to grow. This is a stupid fight. Stupid hill to die on. I don't know how current Elrond gets to long hair Elrond by the battle. And I don't know how Galadriel changes from a immortal life that she's lived so far from being angry and a warrior to a wise sorceress with magic powers that she has no idea to use right now.
So it's funny is that
in about 20 to 40 years.
Galadriel's wise, but I think she is much more mysterious and
she ain't wise in the show.
Mystical. Because even in the book, she's kind of creepy too. And I think that, like, that is an element we're losing with her, and that's something that I think...
Oh no, they're nailing Galadriel's creepiness. Just the wrong type of creepy.
I don't think so at all. They're not, yeah. But that's something Murphy talked about, is that elves aren't even acting as if they have 1,000 years. So I think Elrond and the Wood Elf, I always forget his name.
They definitely nail, like, hey, I've been alive for a while. We got to be more patient with our choices. But yeah, everyone else is acting like they only have 10 years to live.
Oh, what's his name? I think him and Elrond and the Elf King are very aware of their age.
I don't think so. I don't think the Elf King... Maybe season 2 Elf King?
Arendir.
But
I believe he knows his age. I think the
season 1 Elf King? No.
I have this headcanon that the actress who plays Galadriel, Morfred Clark, she comes on set and she's like, oh god, I have to do this today for Galadriel. This is not who she is. Fine. I'm getting paid. I'm stuck in contract. What the fuck ever. At least I get to play in Tolkien. Like, I personally think she's not happy.
I mean, we know all the behind-the-scenes clips are...
It's true, Murphy. The fact that we can find all
line readings.
Yeah. The fact that we can find all these flaws and we have very good suggestions on how to fix it, it shows that, like it's bad writing, and regardless of what's happening, whether it's the budgetary issues or what, like, the work's just not being put in. And, like, my friend was talking about her book got adapted on Netflix, and I know Netflix is literally just adapting whatever they can with a low budget and not caring about the story. And her and my boss both agreed, which means that the viewers who don't even study film and story can tell that production houses are now just, like, throwing cash around to make anything and make $1 and not caring about a good quality product anymore.
Because they're trying to compete with YouTube.
But
YouTube has officially got the most amount of viewership than any streaming platform.
Because if you don't focus on story, your video will not get views. And the fact that the head of these studios are that dumb and not paying attention to why it's working, and the fact that anyone who just loves storytelling and doesn't study it for a living can notice that all the shows you're putting out are bad, like that's not good. That's not good. Yeah. I hope everyone has enjoyed our tangents here today. That's why I'm actually happy that A Court of Thorns and Roses has not been picked up yet. I still only want HBO to do it, but I also at the same time don't want it to be touched because...
Well, if HBO touches it, it'll just be a sex show.
Well, there is a lot of sex in it, so that's why I think HBO should, because it's a very mature series. The fact that it was going to go to Hulu was insane to me. I didn't want Disney near that with a 10-inch stick.
Or Bob Iger.
No. Because it is sensual, and there's nothing wrong with stories having like sex or romance in them, but you can play them off and make them very surface level, and not appreciate them the right way. But like also, her fantasy is like really deep and complex, like the lore, and I just don't think a lot of people, you can easily read it at surface level and not understand it. And so it bothers me. So I actually don't want it to be ever be adapted.
It's gonna be.
If it were to be adapted, the only person I would actually be okay with touching it is it's her name who worked on The Magicians in the first 5 episodes of Supernatural, Sarah Gamble, and her writing partner John McNarma. I don't know why the TV show You that they did has gone so far off the rails, but otherwise they're really good at storytelling on a low budget.
The problem is movies make more money than TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Kobe. We've been watching older shows recently because they tend to be better writing. Like we're watching.
Well, we have 20 episodes a season. Mm-hmm. They're better writing, like you're saying.
But I watched Emily in Paris, and they are down to 8 episodes, and they're doing the thing that Netflix is doing now, where they cut the season into 2 parts. Those writers are actually still doing a really good job.
They're just getting paid for half the work.
Yeah, which sucks. I don't like their plot choices, but the writing's still good, if that makes sense. Like, I wish they would have gone in a different direction, but the story's still like well written and it all is cohesive, which is just more like a taste issue. But it's also like it's a rom-com show, so you can do like the episodes are only 25 minutes, like they're smaller bite-sized. I think with dramas you need more time, but the other issue though then that you run into is like Shameless. Shameless was a really good show up until they started having too much story time. So like they had 5, I think it's like season 7 where I feel like they really start running out of story. Grey's Anatomy ran into this too, where they start like undoing their character arcs to create new drama. The new drama is not good. It makes no sense to the characters and story.
Well, because story is not meant to continue forever. Story is meant to end.
Exactly. And so that's why like some of the limitations are good, but I think that a lot of these writers are so used to old story structure or old episode length that they're not figuring out how to adjust to the new one.
Quick note on just watching older movies. We already know which ones were good, and we don't watch the bad ones, which contributes to the feeling that old movies were better. Yeah.
And on that note, I have hit my social battery, and I have to go reset it. By myself, alone in darkness. Bye, guys.
Bye, Allie. Thank you for spending your time and your energy. Hey everybody, make sure you hit the like button for Allie to come back. Also, hey, we're 15 patrons away from getting Allie to write a short story for all of us to enjoy. Just saying. You want... What story?
My sci-fi short. I sent it to you.
I don't think I put that up.
Oh, Chris told you to.
Whoops! I have a sample work of Allie's writing that I need to put up on Patreon for y'all. But yeah, if we get 15 more patrons, even at the lowest tier, we will force Allie to write a short story, a fantasy short story, for us to enjoy. And we'll even try to get it published as like a zine for there to be a print copy. We'll try.
I literally gave that to you 2 months ago because Chris is like, they need to have proof of the writing.
I was whelmed with work, and you know that.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed my rant. At least someone does. You should, like, in the title...
You should just make rant videos. And just let the haters come in, fill in the comments.
I don't know why. Like, I think because I viewed it.
Do you just not hate that? Do you just hate that?
So I have this weird thing about putting, like... I don't know why. For some reason on your live stream, I know it exists forever, but in the moment it feels like it disappears after it's not live anymore. Uh-huh. So it feels less permanent.
Sure.
I viewed it bounce ideas off of and people in the chat. And I try not to put, like, naggy stuff on my channel because...
Oh, so you just put naggy stuff on my channel?
You put naggy videos out all the time! You ranted about Patreon and 5e, so, like... I just think they're so, like, booktube in general is super naggy. And so I try to not be negative about books because the community is already... Like, the community thrives off being negative. That's how they get views. They don't thrive about talking about books in positive light.
Yeah.
And I don't want to participate in that.
Hell yeah, CJ. That's called winning right there.
New rant has started, yay. About not wanting... Yeah. I'm a rancher queen. Yeah, I just don't want that on my channel because I will positively rant about how much I love something on my channel.
How about your negative rants are exclusive to Patreon?
No, it's still... like, I just... If you guys want negative rants, you have to come to the Fables channel. It's my alter ego.
Oops, bump the camera. Got all this foam I gotta vacuum up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I don't want that on my channel. It's specifically because the booktube is so negative. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of comments I get going, I really loved Akatar and I couldn't find a single positive review until I found your video.
That should be a sign that you need to make more videos about books and telling people how great they are.
I am trying to, but I work 30 hours a week.
And you go to school.
I have 10 hours of homework and 2 days of school. And I'm still trying to work out so my body doesn't fall apart in old age and eat well. Trust me. There's like a whole video I want to make about the first 3 books and the Throne of Glass series, and I'm like, I don't know when I have the time. And I feel like on camera I'm like, okay guys, I'm like so tired trying to talk. Like, I was also thinking like, oh, I have so much homework I have to do on Saturday. I could do a live stream, and I'm like, I have to set up the camera, and then I have to make sure I look actively present on the camera even though I'm studying, and I'm like, God, that sounds exhausting. So I'm trying my best. Very frustrating. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sorry, Sneaky Medieval. This mini rant is over now.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's coming up to 10 o'clock. How long have I been streaming?
I started class at 7:30. You started.
Been streaming for 2.5 hours.
I think you started at like 7:15.
Yeah. Mitchell, hi there. I'm new, but saw Shadowdark in the title. I'm going to run a one-shot this Sunday. Any advice for a beginner? This will be the last piece of advice for the stream, everybody. And then we're going to shut it down for the day. Streams are, for right now, Thursdays and Sunday mornings, coffee time with some crafting and talking. Hey, Mitch. Welcome to the stream. Shadowdark, yes. So, quick, why you clicked on the stream? Because I made Shadowdark spell cards, and I just want to show them off. These are prototypes, but they are amazing, and I'm really proud of them. Okay, so your question. I'm going to run a one-shot this Sunday. Any advice for a beginner? As a beginner, let's clarify a couple things so that makes sure I'm on the right page as you. one? Is it your first time running a game at all? Like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, any game at all. You've run D&D. Great. You're leaps ahead and you're going to be fine. My biggest advice from my experience running Shadowdark is taking steps away from asking for rolls. Basically, there is more passive success going on than rolling for success. You want to ask for a roll when failure has stakes to it. If they rolled a 1 on this, shit goes down. Even in the book, in the core book, it mentions if failure isn't a high stake thing and it makes sense that the character would know how to do a thing, let them just be able to do it. If I'm a thief, I should be able to break through these, get through this window, open this door over here, and do that, right? Rolling decks to pick a door should only matter if the door is booby-trapped, guards are coming, you're trying to not make the guards notice you, right? There's stakes, like you could roll into an encounter if you're not careful. That's a big thing. It's also going to help a one-shot move a lot faster too. I also think the torch timer is helpful, as it's not the easiest thing to keep in mind, like, oh, I got a clock for an hour. You can do that and that works, but as a reminder to the players, hey, remember, for 1 hour real time, that's the torch. If it goes out, you're in darkness, and if you're in darkness, there's a possible encounter. Like, set up some bad things that could happen when the light goes out. In the description of this stream, I think it's the first link, is my UMBRAL clock. It's kind of a doomsday clock to replace the random rolls as you're going through a dungeon. Basically, this tool is great. Every player I've played with loves this tool. Every time the players go to a new room, make too loud of a noise, they roll on the UMBRAL clock, and it ticks down from 24 down to 0, and at 0, an encounter happens. Also, at 0, the torch goes out. So the torch timer and the tension building of the one shot is going to be great with torch timer and the UMBRAL clock. That's one piece of advice. Second piece of advice is more passive success. Another piece of advice for Shadowdark. Everyone's so squishy, and on a meta level, our players are aware that they're squishy, and they're afraid. They're more likely to be afraid because they're squishy, right? Play with that. Tease them. You know, like, do the holding the breath moment where the players open the door, and then on the other side, they see. Draw it out. Pull it out. Nothing, because it's an empty room. They're, on a meta level, more aware that they could die at any moment. So tease them sometimes. And then break up that tension with a goofy moment of, like, have fun. A joke. They successfully get through a thing because it's funny, right? So, like, you're crossing a bridge, and the first time it's very scary. Second time, you draw it out to be even scarier. The third time, you just go, and the characters run across the board. And you kind of, like, same, different, right? You break up that tension for a little comedic beat. And it allows the players to come up for air and breathe before they go back into the tension. And then other than that, play D&D. Start strong. Get in there, set the conflict up, make sure the players know why they're there. Halfway through the one shot, take a break, get some snacks, get some food, go to the bathroom, clear your head, listen in as the DM to what the players are thinking. Maybe you can make sure that all ties in. And after the break, ramp up the tension, ramp up the danger. We're on the second half. Let's get to the climax and make it deadly. Ask the players to describe what their spells look like and how they cast. Ask the players how to describe what it looks like when they swing swords and stab monsters. Set them up to be co-narrators. It's so rewarding. When possible, players don't like this because it's uncomfortable, but it's so satisfying. When possible, get them to describe their actions before they roll. Describe what the spell looks like when you cast it before you roll the casting check. Describe what it looks like when you go to swing the sword before you roll for the attack. Have them commit to an idea, narration. And now everyone at the table now cares so much more about that roll because there's narrative stakes. This player put effort into what this roll is going to be. And what that does for you as the DM. This is like 3D chess right here. You get the players to describe the action before they roll. Then, what's going on in your brain as the DM as they go for the roll is you're processing and taking in their description. And the outcome is you reacting to their description versus you describing a simple action because you're having to juggle so many things naturally as a DM. So rather than I roll to attack and you hit or you miss, right? Rather than that, they describe I go to cut off his arm. Okay, let's go for this. He rolls success. You then know by that point that the roll has landed how to describe the most gnarly arm getting cut off. Or they do, right? Either one. Or they fail. You're going, okay, so you go for the arm, like you said, but they duck out of the way just in time, or they lift up their arm and catch your sword and pull you and shove you to the side, right? It's giving you setup to be a narrator just as much as when you ask for them to describe a thing, like an attack or a spell, is setting them up to narrate. That's a big, 3D chess tip. Yeah. I've had discussions with players after the fact because I record games. Is I show them when they describe a critical success after rolling versus making the edit show they describe it and then roll. And I showed those two versions to those players. And they're like, yeah, describing it before the roll is so much more satisfying as somebody listening to it being said. Which tells me that the other players at the table will enjoy other people's turns even more. Yeah, so describe stuff before you roll. Check out the UMBRAL clock as a replacement for the random encounter rolls. Prep your monsters. If possible, put your monsters on note cards that can kind of help, but the book is so small and easy to go through. You don't even need that. That's really a D&D 5e issue. What was the first thing I said? Oh yeah, more passive success. As long as the stakes are low and you can propel the plot forward. You want to know a really fun homebrew that I use in D&D and I've used in Shadowdark? And this homebrew has made one of the best moments in gaming that I've ever had. It was fantastic. It's called Death by Choice. It's based off Daggerheart's death system, and I use it for Shadowdark. I use it for D&D. I'm going to be using it for Call of Cthulhu, Mothership, Alien, all of it. Death by Choice. When the player character reaches 0 HP, the player gets to choose how they die. They get to choose one of 3 options. 1. Blaze of Glory. Pick an action. It's a critical success, but you immediately die afterwards. Number 2, you go unconscious. You take a scar and you go unconscious. Let the player describe the scar, and they can only do that once per rest. Or once per game, depending on what you think is more high stake. The third option is risk it all. Roll a d20 right now. If you roll 10 or lower, you permanently die. If you roll 11 or higher, you get the benefits of a long rest and you're back in the fight. It does make Shadowdark less squishy, because players can, especially for combat, have a way to succeed. But I have always been impressed with when I give players that as the death rule, what do they come up with? It is so fun at the table. That's the risk it all, right? You either come back fully strong and you can help probably finish this fight, or you're gone forever. I've had a situation where 3 players were going down all at once. The first player did a critical Blaze of Glory to defeat the monster, but at the cost of making everyone else have to go to 0 HP because he wasn't thinking. And then they all chose risk it all, and one did not make it while one did make it. And they quickly, the one who didn't make it narrated that he took the damage, which saved the person who made it, because it was in their court, it was their time to shine and narrate what happens and how their characters die, and he chose to narrate how the other players succeeded versus him dying. And the player that survived nearly cried at the idea that this character sacrificed themselves. It sounds like a wild, overpowered option, but if it's like, here, narrate how they die or survive. It is so cool. So yeah, that's my tips. I hope you were writing those down, or you'll watch this as a VOD. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up. I gotta eat breakfast, and I got work to do for clients. And yesterday I got client work for Saturday and Sunday as well, so I have a busy rest of the week and a busy weekend. I'm gonna stream on Sunday morning around roughly around 7 a.m. Pacific time. If you're looking at your clock right now, it would be 3 hours ago on this Sunday. Thursdays and Sundays. Make sure you hit the like button. Consider subscribing. And if you want Allie, who was here ranting for like an hour, to write a fantasy short story for all of us to enjoy, head over to Patreon and join a paid membership. Even the lowest tier, we only need 15 more members and we can hit that goal. Michelle, I'm going to say Mitchell unless you correct me. Mitchell, thank you for getting me on the tips rant. Love it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and good luck on your one shot. Everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out with me. You've seen my trees. You've seen my new spell cards for Shadowdark. You saw me carving rocks. We talked ancient elven and orc gear for Shadowdark. What else did we talk about? We talked about my new glasses. Everybody, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, evening, and of course, check out patreon.com/fablesd20, link down below, and the Umbral clock. Have a wonderful good night.